Me personally, everybody thinks I'm like anti-police. I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-bad police. Does anybody know the law that allows law enforcement to openly carry their firearms?
I have a question.
Just one second. Does anybody know the law that allows law enforcement to openly carry their firearms? Shall not be infringed. They're still infringing on our rights.
I mean, I'm going to stand up and say something. The only thing I have here is a fucking knife. I would like this ex-officer to hold it for me, please.
I might have to shoot you.
Because I don't want to have a weapon. How many people would like me to escort this gentleman out?
But whenever police make mistakes, how come they don't get punished just as equally? Don't point your gun at anything you don't intend to destroy. Know what's behind what you're aiming at. Keep your finger off the trigger and treat every gun as if it's loaded. That's my training right there. These gun laws that they're creating, they're not hurting the criminal. They're hurting you people right here. We protect politicians with guns. We protect movie stars with guns. But why can't we defend our kids with guns? Responsibility. That's the number one thing. That's the outlier of all this, is being responsible gun owners.
What's going on, everybody? Soliaker here, and I was invited to the Port St. Lucie Anglers Fishing Club meeting. They wanted me to be a guest speaker, and I was like, okay, cool. And, you know, I wanted to try to let people know why I do why and how I do what I do, and how all of this came about in the education that I've been doing for the last 6 years. So you saw in the beginning parts of these clips, I highly recommend that you watch this video all the way to the end. You know, some people, they had some great points. There's some people that, you know, I'll probably never ever change their mind. There was a lot going on in this, but I did have some people just listen to what I was saying, but things kind of got out of control towards the end, and you know, I don't agree with how things ended. But it is what it is. I hope you really like this video. I know I did, even though things kind of got out of control at the end. But, you know, that's what I have to deal with. You know, people are just not going to agree with me. But it is what it is. So don't forget, hit that like, share, and that subscribe button, all that good stuff. And let's get into this video. Soliaker, deuces.
How are we all doing tonight? Good. Hey, that's what I like to hear. My name's Mike. I go by Soliaker or The Armed Fisherman on YouTube. Just to let you know, I'm not sure if anybody's seen me around here, but I do walk around here. I go fishing. Fishing has been part of my life since I was 8. But I also carry an AR-15, and I'm usually on the Glock or some kind of handgun with me. And under Florida law, 790.25, Section 3, subsection H, it is lawful to open carry any type of firearm as long as you are allowed to possess said firearm. Open carry traditionally is not allowed here, period. You cannot open carry. We just have the exceptions. Another exception, on your property, place of business, going to a gun range, and that's primarily the gist of it.
Camping.
And camping.
Camping.
Fishing, hunting, and camping. So, but that's under H as well. So, when I first started, this all really started with Mom's Demand Action, March of Our Lives, you know, from the Parkland incident. And they were really promoting for gun control and, you know, stopping AR-15s and handguns. They were just like, no more guns. And I was like, I went out and bought a gun. But then I also had to figure out how I was going to carry that gun. And there's no other way unless you go and get that government permission slip. And which, thankfully, July 1st, we will no longer, if you're a Florida resident, you will no longer have to have that. But if you do want to travel outside of the state, you will need a Florida concealed weapons permit if there is a reciprocity to Georgia or whatever other state, and that will allow you to still be able to carry. So if you're in Florida and Florida resident, don't need it, but if you want to travel to other states, as long as the reciprocity is there, you're good.
But hand in hand with that, just carrying, because the state says you can carry, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be getting training. Not just go out, buy a gun, slap it on, carry concealed, untrained.
No, we're going to get to training. Well, actually, we'll talk about training. What is training?
From My law enforcement background
Yes.
is my background right now.
No, what is training? What kind of training would you recommend for somebody?
Laws,
What
state
kind?
laws to carry where you can and can't, situations,
Absolutely.
the safe handling of it, knowing the nomenclature of a weapon.
Do you think the government should utilize that? Is the government going to be the ones saying, hey, this is what you have to do, you have to mandatory 40 hours, this blah, blah,
That's the
blah?
problem.
See, whenever the government steps in, just like they're doing right now, the government's saying, oh, you can't do this. When they say you can't do this or you can't have this, everybody goes out and buys them. Why? Because the government is telling you you can't. We have 1976, the Constitution was written. 1791, it was ratified. Basically, it was written into law. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed, period. I don't need the government to tell me how to carry, what to carry, and then whether I need training or not. Am I smart enough to make sure I understand how to operate my firearm? Absolutely. There's hundreds of thousands of videos on YouTube that'll teach you that. There are plenty of people that I would say, go watch these videos, and they're going to teach you the basics of firearm training. And it costs you this much money. The government likes to stick their hands into your pocket, taxes, whatever the case may be. I personally don't agree with the government stepping into my constitutional rights. They want to step into it. That's what happened when we fought the British. The government there wanted to tax us. They wanted to take our guns away. And we fought the largest army in the world, and we defeated them. We had a little help. We had help from the French, but it was only 3%. Have you ever heard that term, 3%ers? It was 3% of this country that defeated the largest army in the world. And I see some hats around here. Thank you for your service. We need our government, and that's why nobody comes here, to fight us. They did it in Pearl Harbor. What happened to them? Anybody that ever comes over here reaps the wrath of our government. So what happens when the government starts to come in and start coming at your door, and especially right now with the pistol brace rule. I'm not going to say how many of those pistol braces I own or how many are attached to a firearm I own, but I do know that they watch my channel, and it is a concern for me. Shall not be infringed. They're still infringing on our rights. The ATF has already said, hey, this was legal 10 years ago. A veteran created this stabilizing brace, and now the ATF is backtracking. We saw the same thing with the bump stock, same principle. Now that one just got overturned. These are big issues when the government starts to step in. Me personally, everybody thinks I'm like anti-police. I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-bad police. Even here, I've had my own issues with Port St. Lucie police. The first time I ever met them, I was walking down on Veterans Memorial, and we know all the little ponds that are all up and down that road, right? Well, I was going to one of those ponds, and I met two officers that were completely clueless. Going fishing right over here.
With weapons like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's
real?
Absolutely.
There is no open carry law.
There is.
There is open carry with
Yes.
the AR-15?
Yes, sir.
There is?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I want to see the Florida State law for that.
Under Florida State Statute 790.25,
Okay.
Section 3,
Yeah.
subsection H,
Yeah.
it is completely lawful for me to do this.
To walk on the sidewalk with an AR-15
I can walk
open carry.
going where I'm going to go fishing, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Then why am I in cuffs?
Just relax.
For safety.
Everybody's going to learn a good, valuable lesson
So
today.
Okay.
Well, that would be great. We would love to hear that.
As long as he has that fishing pole in his hand and he
Yeah.
says he's going fishing, he can carry a firearm on it.
Okay.
An open firearm?
Open carry firearm.
Yeah.
That's
And I
correct.
met two officers that were completely clueless, and they had no body cam. Now just imagine, I was wearing a GoPro. If I hadn't had that GoPro, they could have just arrested me and said, hey, he was open carrying, blah, 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 forget about the fishing pole, whatever. But I was lucky enough that their supervisor was a FWC officer prior to him being a police officer for Port St. Lucie, and he was very well versed. And I actually caught that on camera where he's like, if he's got a fishing pole and he's saying he's going fishing, he can open carry. And both of those officers were like, huh? And the one officer that I was asking for an apology went 10-8. I didn't get that apology from him. And then I see him at an event over here at the Civic Center, and I'm like, hey man, what's up with that apology? And he pretended like he didn't even know me. That's bad policing. At least when I make mistakes, they put cuffs on me, they throw me in jail, they put me on probation, they do whatever they have to do to me. But whenever police make mistakes, how come they don't get punished just as equally? That's my problem. That's the biggest problem that I have. And right now I'm currently in litigation with Miami Beach, or Ball Harbor down in Miami. And I'm doing it pro se, and that means by myself. I don't have lawyers telling me what to do. I have to do it by myself. I have to learn these laws. Just like he was saying about, oh, we have to learn and they should do this. Yes, I want you to learn, but am I making it mandatory? No. Nobody at the government's helping me learn how to do this. So these are things that it's an individual. You know, there's 400 million guns in this country, and do you think everybody knows how to handle their firearm? You know, there's only 4 basic rules that you should really know. Don't point your gun at anything you don't intend to destroy. Know what's behind what you're aiming at. Keep your finger off the trigger and treat every gun as it's loaded. That's my training right there. You follow those 4 basic rules, you're probably not going to have any issues with firearm. Now back to the open carry. I've been around the state of Florida. I've been up to Pensacola. I've been all the way down to the Keys. I've been put face down, handcuffed, guns pointed at me, and arrested. And for what? For following the law? I mean, that's an issue. And in the 6 years I've been doing this, I've slowly made a difference to where I can walk around this town right now and they're going to drive by and give me a big wave. They might not like it, but they're going to just drive by because they know what I'm doing is lawful. Same thing happens in West Palm. I've been down to West Palm, and the first time I ever showed up there, 911 was off the hook. They got like 9 phone calls. Then I believe it was Bobby Powell, Bobby Powell. He was a senator, and then we had the police chief that's on the ocean side, and they were in cahoots trying to change the law. Once again, the government's stepping in to try to change something that's already written. And I don't agree with that. I should have a fishing pole just to be able to open carry. But that's the law and how it's written, and I'll follow that law to a T. And that's what I say to anybody is, yes, learn some of the laws. But there's 30,000 there's 30,000 laws on the books already. Is it easy who here has ever read a 30,000 page book? You know, that's what this is about, is like, hey, follow 4 steps and you're good. Or follow 30,000 laws and you violate just one, and you could be potentially looking at 10, 20 years. And I don't agree with some of these. There's some I do agree with. But, you know, for me, what I'm seeing is there's a big mental issue right now. We're seeing young kids, 21, 18, you know, and they're taking guns and they're doing something so horrendous, but we don't blame that person. They're blaming the gun. And that's the problem that I see with all these gun laws that they're creating. They're not hurting the criminal. They're hurting you people right here. This is the effect of gun control, their so-called gun control. And I'm sorry, there's almost nothing anyone could have done to stop what happened in Parkland. You know, he was saying all the stuff he said, and it fell on deaf ears. Even the FBI knew about it. You know, the school was wide open. This kid walked through the school. You know, everybody's like, oh, we don't want our schools to be like a prison. Well, we protect politicians with guns. We protect movie stars with guns. But why can't we defend our kids with guns? We got one resource officer sitting at a school, and every time I drive by down, you know, any school, I see the car parked out front, but no cop in sight. You know, why is there not somebody standing up out there having with an AR? Because these kids are playing games with ARs. So it's not, these kids they understand what a gun is. We've made it so scary for kids that they're doing training, you know, mass shooting training. What do you think that's doing to the psyche of a kid? You know, I've never pointed my gun at anybody. I've never shot
His
it.
psyche was fucked up, excuse my language.
Hey,
To start, yeah.
what's that?
Yeah, his psyche was messed up to start.
Mental illness.
It goes back to single-family homes, no guidance, no responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know,
Responsible.
That's,
Responsibility. That's the number one thing. That's the outlier of all this, is being responsible gun owners. I'm a responsible gun owner, and I'm sure 95, 99% of you are all responsible.
You mentioned education, and the sad fact of the matter is, okay, sad fact of the matter is, most police officers get so little training in the actual laws that they're totally ignorant. I mean, I've had an experience, you know, hey, if I'm fishing or camping or hunting or even going on a hike or whatever the case may be, I can open carry. That's what it says in the book. But there's a lot of cops are not aware. And you can't blame them. They just don't get it in their training.
I don't blame them. I'm not blaming
No,
them.
I know you're not. But I'm saying the reason that you have these now, I don't know if you're part of that group that marches around like that down there at Delray Beach. There was a whole, there was a whole bunch of people there, strapped ARs there, and 45s on their hip and Glocks on their hip, and they're walking down, going across the bridge. They all had fishing poles and bait buckets.
Yeah.
Hey, knock yourself out, but don't be surprised when the highway patrol and the local police show up and give you a hard time. Because if 911 has gone completely apeshit with people, look, you're walking down through a neighborhood, peaceful, quiet neighborhood, and you got some old man sitting on the porch, and these guys are coming down the street with these scary looking guns. They're gonna call 911, and you're gonna get hassled. Just a fact of life.
Why the hassle? You know, and like you say, training, all right? Do we train the police officer more?
Now,
You
they
know,
had the
and-
video after they talked to him
Hold on.
and found out what was going on. Everything was cool.
Does anybody know the law that allows law enforcement to openly carry their firearms?
I have a question.
Just one second. Does anybody know the law that allows law enforcement to openly carry their firearms? It's not just because they're police. It's the same section, same 790.25, section 3, subsection D. Same law. We're talking a couple letters. If they understood why they get to carry, and they actually just read those it goes from A to I think O. That right there is good enough training for me to tell them that, hey, these are exceptions to the rule. And that's what I've been doing for the last 6 years. I was part of an organization called Florida Carry. We've done demonstrations throughout the state of Florida. One of the biggest ones that I've been to was down in Miami Beach. We were on the South Point Pier. It was 6 of us, I think 6 or 7 of us that day, and only one guy wasn't carrying. I was the first one the police approached, and I was the first one to look down the barrel of 3 guns.
Hands down. Hands down. Don't move for the gun.
I was. I mean, if you want to see that video, just go to my channel. I promise you, it's probably one of the most viewed ones I've had. It's in the millions or something like that. So, but yes.
So you're saying you go fishing with your AR strapped on?
Yes, sir.
So if you're fishing with your AR, doesn't it get in the way?
You'd be surprised. The funny thing is,
I carry my weapon too, and I carry concealed,
Okay.
usually under my shirt, you know, because I don't want the hassle.
Okay.
Because when I'm going out, I want to go fishing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want the hassle of anybody, so I just stick it under my shirt.
Right.
You know, an AR strapped on, it would be in my way. I catch a lot of fish. You know, that's when I
Me
go
too.
fishing, I'm catching fish.
Trust
An
me,
AR strapped on or hanging on my back, it's just in the way. I just can't see the.
I've got a recent video where I did a walk. I walked about 5 miles. I started right over here on Veterans.
What about your fishing tackle? I mean, I got a
In my
fishing
bag.
tackle
I got a
backpack.
backpack, tackle in the bag,
Guns,
leader. I go GoPro, AR, backpack. That way I can access my backpack and I can still access my firearm. The GoPro is just stuck to me. But I was over here, right off of Veterans, and there's a little gap. It's probably about a 4 foot by 10 foot wide gap. And it had some overflow, and I'm like, I'm gonna pitch something in here. AR across my chest. I hooked into probably about a 26-inch snook in this little hole.
Woo! I got a bass. Woo! Woo! That's a snook. That's a snook. Holy cow. It's a snook. Oh! No! God damn it!
It had some overflow, and I'm like, I'm gonna pitch something in here. AR across my chest. I hooked into probably about a 26-inch snook in this little hole. I'm sitting there fighting it and fighting it. The AR was never my way because I keep it tight to my chest. You know, I don't let it just sling around. And I would say get retention. Get a good holster, get a good sling. That's good, but always keep it tight. If you have a loose anything, yeah, it's gonna be in your way. But I keep everything tight like I should. That way it's not falling all around and doing all the crazy things that people think.
That fish broke off too.
Oh, yeah, he snapped me off.
That's because your AR was in the way.
No, he got back into the pipe. He was right back into that pipe. They're smart. Yes, sir.
So my question is, what's your point?
To make it safer for you to do the same. That was the end goal, is to make it safer for you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like what you're saying with the AR. It's like me going out and buying a canary yellow Corvette. It says, look at me, look at me.
I agree with you.
No, it's saying, look at me. First of all, if you're fishing in a hole that big with a little fishing pole, you don't need an AR-15. You can carry a 45. And it could be right on your side, and it's not, look at me, look at me.
Correct.
AR-15 it's got the capacity.
And everybody thinks AR means assault rifle. It doesn't. It doesn't, you know? I'm sorry, I gotta disagree with the AR-15 why I'm going fishing.
It's not the gun, it's
This is-
people killing people.
This
It's not the gun.
This is the main purpose of doing this. Yes, I am trying to draw attention to gun rights. That was the end goal. My also end goal is after I've had guns pointed at me, put face down on the ground, handcuffed and arrested, I have to bring attention, and now I have law enforcement watching my channel. I was just in Stewart.
Solo Yakko. Yeah. Solo Yakko. Yeah, I know who it is. Okay. I'm on one of his
YouTube channels?
YouTube channels, yeah.
I was just in Stewart. Just in Stewart.
But that's what I'm saying, there's other ways to do it than carrying an AR-15 while you're fishing. I mean, I just disagree with your theory at all.
Everybody, like, see how we're
to do it though.
Huh?
Okay, I got one thing to say, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody remember Gabby Giffords being shot?
For longtime Tucsonans, these images are burned into their minds. But tonight, brand new images from the day 6 lives were lost and more than a dozen injured, including then Congresswoman Gabby Giffords.
Yeah. She was. The guy was disarmed while he was reloading. He was reloading to start shooting again. He shot 6 people, was reloading to do it again. A citizen in the group ran up and tackled him and disarmed him. He said, the only reason I did that, I was carrying at the time, and I knew if he got the gun loaded, then I would have drawn. He says, if I was unarmed, I would have been running the other way. He would have reloaded and kept on shooting. Now, AR-15s, I think they're a little cumbersome myself. But the thing is if someone's in trouble, if I'm in trouble, if one of these nutbag dopeheads up in Fort Pierce starts shooting, I hope he's near me, because he's going to save my life.
Yeah, but you can do it without an AR-15 and a 39-cent fishing pole in your hand.
None of my 30.
No, you're saying he saved your life. There's a Marine that just is being charged for murder because he stopped some crackpot that's been arrested 40 times.
But he's going to get off on that charge because the guy went out.
He was helping the public.
Guys,
question about this. Go ahead.
I was kind of wondering, where is the NRA on this? Where is the hunting clubs in the state of Florida?
It's just like we were saying, the thing is about the talking. We could go to the NRA. The NRA doesn't like open carry. I'm going to tell you that right now.
But the thing is, I don't see, I'm from Ohio. We had programs, hunting fishing clubs. We taught the kids gun safety, all that stuff, in camps and stuff. None of that's here. It's crazy.
I am one of very few that tries to talk to the people.
Just a basic hunter safety course teaches the kids all about weapons.
I'm all for it. And I'm not that person, and I don't have the funds to start that. But what I am doing is trying to show people that you do have rights.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing, is that we have rights here in America. And if you don't believe in what I'm doing,
I'm not saying I don't believe in what you're doing. I think you're going about it the wrong way. It's just like you said in the Constitution. It says you have the right to bear arms. It does not say you have the right to carry them arms. It says you have the right to bear arms. So if you want to get technical, that's being technical.
Listen. Can we switch to the kayak fishing?
We're going to do kayak.
We're going to talk kayak.
All right. Kayak. Another fun fact about me is that I've been fishing since I was 8. I was fishing on a professional.
All right, guys, line up. Let's listen.
I've been fishing since I was 8 years old. I joined the IFA kayak tour. I was a professional fisherman for over 2 years. I've got videos of me fishing 5 miles offshore, paddled out of Boynton, ended up in Jupiter, and trust me, man, I've hooked into mahi, I've hooked into groupers, I've hooked into, you name the fish. Just because I don't catch fish when I'm doing what we're not talking about, that is activism. My fishing, when I go fishing, is actually, I'm fishing. And I still carry. I still open carry when I do. So, but fishing is part of my life. And that is how I found this law. And I love to fish. And if anybody ever questioned, I'll take you to some spots. Because where I went fishing in Fort Pierce, I almost got robbed. And that's partly why I started doing it. My gun was in the car. I was scared to do it. That was the only way I could carry my gun. And so be it. That's the way. That's just the way it is. And that's what I tell anybody. I'm like, before this law is about to change, guess what? This was the only way that anybody without that government permission slip was able to. So, fishing tackle. Probably about all my rods are probably anywhere from like $200 to $600. The rod and reel combos. I've got pens. I've got big old Abbots. I've got big drop rigs, little friggin' poles this big to catch tilapia out of these ponds. I've got a whole arsenal of fishing poles, just like I have an arsenal of firearms. Fishing is part of my life, and that's why I started doing this. And that's pretty much in a nutshell why all this started, is that I'm not going to allow somebody to ruin my fishing day by trying to either hurt me, rob me, or any of that.
Has YouTube come after you at all?
No, my first channel, the Solo Yacker, which is Solo Kayaker. That's how I got that's the thing. That channel actually I reposted a shooting in Arizona, and it was against the guidelines. So they struck me down, they took my money away, so I restarted another one, and that one got monetized, and I'm at 110,000 subscribers right now. Am I doing it for attention? 100%. Because guess what? It opens the eyes to not only the people, but law enforcement and everybody. Because I can almost go anywhere in the state of Florida right now. They show up and they're like, oh, it's him again. It's him. It's always him. I've pleaded with people. I don't plead with them. I'm like, hey, you want me to come out? I'll come out. I'll go with you. I'll take you and I'll show you the rounds. I'll give you the laws. I'll show you the way that I do it and how I've learned. But I didn't have anybody teaching me anything.
Now YouTube compensates you.
Correct.
For the number of hits you get, right?
Depending, it's the way YouTube works is it's view count and how many minutes or time watched. So right now my views are right around 1 million minutes, I want to say, and I get compensated for it. It could range from as little as you know, $500-600, but some of my biggest paydays were upwards of 10.
How often are the paydays?
Once a month. And, you know, it's not like I get to draw out of that at any time. I have to wait for it. And, you know, when I first started this, I wasn't getting paid. First you have to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's a benchmark. Then you have to have like 4,000 hours watched. That's a huge benchmark. I mean, I'm telling you, if you're making, you know, 15-minute videos, it takes a lot of people to get to that many hours. It took me better part of like, even with the new channel, even with all the people knowing me, it still took me about a year to get monetized.
Were guns always a component of your YouTube videos?
The armed fisherman, yes, because I went straight into just, it's going to be straight open carry or talking about guns, you know, like Moms and Man Action or whoever's trying to do the next, you know, thing. I've covered, you know, when the ATF was getting grilled by my Congress, I covered some of that. You know, there's things that I do cover other than just open carry. And I've showcased other people. You know, I had a good friend, his name's Orlando's Voice Transparency. He sent me a video of him, same thing, getting put face down on the ground. He was concealed carrying. The only thing that he was doing is he had a vest on. And the reason he was carrying a vest is because his life was threatened. His girl he was dating and the guy that she had been with, they were beefing and he drew a gun on him and he didn't have a vest. So he was like, from this day forward, I don't trust this guy. He's going to wear a vest. I don't wear a vest. Do I have one? Yes. I don't wear it mainly because there's actually a federal case law that, you know, they say firearms and that vest is actually, it's like showing that you have more of an intent to do harm. And that's not my goal. My goal is to talk to people. And I've actually, over the last, if you go to the Armed Fisherman, there's a couple videos out there where I have a table, chairs, and a sign that says, I'm pro Second Amendment, change my mind. And the gun, sometimes it's a conversation starter, sometimes people are like, I don't want to talk to that guy, he's got a gun. So I went to a different route now to try to talk to the people. So I sit down, I've been to City Hall here, I've been to City Hall in Fort Pierce, I'm about to go hit City Hall in Stewart, West Palm. I'm going to hit every City Hall, sit there and try to have a conversation about gun control or how people feel about the Second Amendment. Trust me, I've
So we're talking about high. I mean, I'm going to stand up and say something. The only thing I have here is a pocket knife. I would like this ex officer to hold it for me, please.
I might have to shoot you.
Because I don't want to have a weapon. How many people would like me to escort this gentleman out?
You have no right to do that. No right whatsoever. He has the right to say.
He's got a right. All right. I'm the bad guy already.
We're going to cut it off there.
Yeah, I came in here with a genuine, good-hearted. My goal was to talk to you guys.
We're going to cut it off here. You're welcome to stay for people who want to.
If anybody wants questions, I'll be sitting outside and I will gladly talk to you. That's my goal. I want to talk about this. If people are upset, but thank you, everybody. I really thank you for the time. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I'll see you guys out on the water.